because I was like, I'm dying, I'm dead, blah, coming out, little faux freckleness happening. Alan knows, like, he's like, yeah, no, I know it's not gonna settle well with you, okay? I feel that. I'm in my comfy air, and honestly, y'all, I'm not sad about it at all. It was actually one of the scariest moments of my entire life. Take me to my place. I was like, he is off route. We were going the wrong way. He wouldn't unlock my window. He was acting like he couldn't understand me. Called 911 immediately. Immediately. Like right there, bop, 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 bop. That's what she was doing. And then when she got tired of doing her finger, she did this. Do you think that went over well with me? Do you think that no, it did not. It's Amber. Welcome to my channel. I am really ready to get into this one. If you have not been here and you want to be a girly here as a blush beauty, just a part of the community here on my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. So don't be fake, girl. Hit it. Stay, hang, chill. We have a good time. Today's video, we're going to create this makeup look. Did a little different things. It's really pretty. So much detail went into it. But yeah, and my hair is very dark. I'm noticing that in this video. It's not been this dark in a long time, but I do have some lighter pieces throughout. It's just really hard to pick up sometimes in this camera, and I am wearing like a dark navy shirt, so that doesn't actually help my case at all to be like, there is light pieces, but it's getting healthy and I'm very excited about that. But we will be lightening it soon. Yeah, leading into the next year, I'm gonna put some lighter pieces in there. We've kind of voted, me and my hairdresser, that is, yeah, Sarah's like, we need to lighten it, and I'm like, for sure, like, it just needs something just for a little bit of definition. So anyways, I'm looking forward to that. But let's get right into it. Let's do our makeup together. So excited. Have some crazy stories. I am a definitely overprotective mother, helicopter mama, all the things. And yeah, if anybody comes for my kids, I will match it and I will come for you. So let's talk about it. I have just a few things that I'm going to talk about, but also a really scary experience that happened to me when I was traveling to Orlando that it just came up that I'm like, oh my gosh, like I've actually never publicly told this story. So I'm going to share that today as well, and just things to look out for so you can protect yourself. But I'm looking forward to today's video with you. Go ahead and hit subscribe and let's dive right into it. I did do all my face cream and skincare this morning, but it's now in the afternoon and I just want to like touch up my face. Actually, I kept thinking earlier, why does my face look tan? But I did the tanning drops in with my moisturizer and I literally actually forgot I did that. So my face actually has some warmth to it, which feels so nice. If you don't use tanning drops in your face moisturizer, I recommend it because it really kind of gives you more of a glow. Yeah, I honestly forgot. I was like looking at myself like, why do I look so like orange? But you know, it just gives me a little bit of color. So I'm good with the orange instead of the pale. But we're going to get a full bead on. We're going to actually go through. I have some notes here on my mirror because I want to do some funny storytelling. And actually, I don't know if it's actually funny, but it's stories that have happened and it's like real life. But we want, I'm craving like a full beat. I really am craving it because actually it's so therapeutic to me to just put my makeup on like that. So as I did my face moisturizer, I actually have been loving getting back into my e.l.f. And this is the Suntouchable. And I really love it. It gives a little bit of warmth to the skin, but it feels really hydrating. And I have a tendency to go dry than ever oily. So I just want to put this all over. I like a good dewy look. I actually did a dewy look yesterday with my makeup. And honestly, it was a lot because by that night it was doing the most, and I put it on so early in the morning at like 6 o'clock. So by that night my face was just, it was just too much. So now we're going to do a little lip balm. So I love the Lange lip balm. I actually do, not because I'm biased of pink. I'm trying to think of like what this flavor is. I actually don't know. It says sweet candy. That might just be what it is, but I don't know. Maybe it is called sweet candy, but it actually feels so good. I use this all the time, day, night, anytime. It's just a mask for your lips to just like rejuvenate them, make them feel fresh. I get so swollen in the morning with my face that I promise you, y'all, my lips feel like I have like fillers and things injected into them. It's the most wildest thing. Now I want to do a little bit, y'all might be thinking you're doing the most, but I really want to do my Glossier, which I typically just do during the summer, but I'm telling you, I'm craving to put all the things on my face today. I'm like, let's just put everything on. So I don't know why, but I'm shaking this up. Look at that. It looks weird. It's actually not really the color of this. So I'm like, why does it look that color? I'm gonna open it up and just do this. Yeah, that looks more like it's like a pinky tone. So I'm just gonna do a little bit on my nose, T-zone, just to kind of add in maybe a little bit on my chest. Yeah, I like the way that feels a lot. Feels really good. And I love to have a you can see already my skin's a little dewy, and I'm obsessed with that. I just like bring on the dewiness, and then I just fan my skin just to make sure everything's like not wet. It's just nice, you know. But yeah, I went to South Park in North Carolina. If you're not familiar, there's just a big mall here. And Soma, going into Soma every time I go to that mall is really nice. I love their 90s and I love their things. But I got this like a little overlay long sleeve shirt from them, and it just feels so cozy. When it's cold outside, I love coziness. And then I just have on like a little simple, like a little sporty bra thing or whatever. It's just like a little bralette. It's nothing fancy. But just like I'm in my comfy air, and honestly, y'all, I'm not sad about it at all. I think it feels good. My hair, I did put pins in it because I took the wand and I curled my hair a little bit. So that is going on. And now we're going to get right into makeup. So as a mom, I've went through the series, if y'all have not watched them, but it was 4 parts of a miscarriage with, we don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but it was an early on miscarriage at like 8 weeks. And then we had Tinley, which was our daughter, and she was a stillborn, you guys. It was the hardest thing. And then we had successful pregnancies with Maddox and Cruz, and they are thriving now, having amazing birthdays right in December of turning 11 and 9, and it's really cool. So anyways, that I kind of told like my birth stories and being a type 1 diabetic and how I navigate that through pregnancy and what that looked like. I haven't really talked about how I navigate it as a person on a daily basis, but that's definitely something that I'll hit on in my story time. I asked y'all last video, would y'all be into more storytelling? And y'all were like, yes. So that made me really excited. I was like, okay, y'all are here for it, and I am so excited to share. And I actually, just to give you a heads up, I have a podcast that's coming out, and the recording will happen with that next year. And so anyways, just look forward to just more girl talks and connecting like that. The sun is like really beaming right now, so gonna change the coloring of this video, but it's okay. It went from a little moody to super light. It definitely brought the lightness in. And then we're gonna, oh my gosh, and my baby hairs are growing back. I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm like, yeah, I'm game with it. Let's grow the baby hairs back. So I actually started working on that a few months ago. And every several weeks I'm plucking around my hairline, because my hairline is really like, it's just when you have really dark brunette hair, you get it. You have baby hairs, and they get on my nerves. I've never embraced them. I was like, they're annoying. And so I was like, I'm just gonna pluck them. I don't need them, you know? And so after so many like years of doing that, it's just like, it's scarred my skin. And it's aggravating. So I'm just to the point now that I want to let them grow and stop doing that, and then get treatments to my skin. So anyways, I'm taking steps in the right direction, I feel like. So I was gonna tell y'all, as a mom, I'm very, very protective. I'm like already at a 10 before anything happens, y'all. I'm already like on pins and needles, because as a parent, I just always think like, you know, these are my cups. Like, I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't want them to fall. I don't want them you know what I mean, to get hurt. And if they do, I want to like fix it. You know, I just want to take care of it. And hey, I hope that you're enjoying this video, but I want to stop right here and thank my brand, Amber Lykins, for sponsoring today's video. I know that's funny to think about my brand sponsoring my own videos, but honestly, I'm the one that puts on all the content for this channel. And I'm like, if you don't know that I have a beauty brand and that I have some amazing body care, I want to tell you about that right now. Go ahead and use the code AMBER at checkout and save some coins on your first purchase. So we have the most luxurious body care that is infused with amazing great skincare and benefits to help the elasticity in your skin, the brightness of your skin, the soothing, the irritation, and all the above, you guys. I am so obsessed with this, and so many women are too. Just a couple of reviews I can pop here over the screen and also show you a little bit of the making process of our products. So we have really clean, nice based products that don't have any yuck, harsh chemicals in them. When you think of like ingredients on the back of a bottle, you're like, I don't even know how to pronounce this. What does this even mean or do? None of that is in there. Very simple, simplistic ingredients that are infused with amazing skincare benefits. So having choices between a body cream, a body butter, a great luxurious soap, and my favorite and top of the line is our body scrubs, but then we also have a whipped sugar scrub. So many great things that are going to really help you level up your bath routine, your shower routine, and just really give you more of a luxurious feel, but also really hydrated skin that's going to be aging in a very youthful, graceful way, but also having the benefits of having really smooth, soft, supple skin. So when you touch your own skin, listen, y'all know that's the biggest organ of your whole entire body. I'm like, take care of what you're actually putting on your skin. But it just came from a very crazy place of like, selfishly, I'm just into body care. And I'm like, yes, 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 I have to have this. But then it was all the rave when my girlfriend started trying it, and then I just started publicizing it, and now it's just kind of really taken off. I cannot wait to get this product in your hands. That you're going to be so happy and excited about it. But on the website is really easy to navigate because it's through the Shopify feature. So it's just an easy checkout process as well. And I have subscriptions that are also available. So you can subscribe to the product and get them anywhere from a 30 to 45 day supply. So go ahead and grab up your products on amberlykins.com. Go ahead and use the code AMBER at checkout and save some coins on your first purchase. That will let me know that you actually watched this video and that's where you found this code. I'm not going to put that anywhere else. So thank you so much for watching today's video and tuning in today, and let's get back to beating our face, getting our face together. Okay, try the products, leave us an honest review, knowing that you're helping a woman entrepreneur really live out her dream. Thank you so much for allowing me to do that, and thank you for being so super supportive. As I know, we're all like that, right? So I just can only speak for myself that I have, you know, situations that occur that maybe if I wasn't a parent, maybe I would not react a certain way. But honestly, I feel like I would still like have some type of feeling about it. So I'll tell you one that's actually not on my list, but it actually just came to. And this is kind of how this happens. But if I was on the phone with my friends, they would list off like 20 things that have happened. They're like, oh no, I can tell you every crazy time you went off, right? So I'll tell you this time that we were at my sister's house before like they moved or whatever. And the boys were in the backyard playing football. And like as they do, Maddox was 5. No, maybe Maddox was like more like 6. He was like more like 6 years old. And he was in the back like playing just like backyard football, goofing off with the cousins. And the older cousin like went in and pushed, like, no, you're out, like I'm gonna tackle you. So he got pushed, and so when he fell wrong on his arm, like his shoulder. And so he actually ended up coming inside. Everybody was yelling and screaming, and we didn't know what was going on, but we could tell like his shoulder blade right here, like the collarbone or whatever, it looked like it had a bump in it. So we were like, oh my gosh, like we think he has a break. Meanwhile, my kids have never broken anything, so I was like, oh my gosh. And my husband has broken many things, you know. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be insane. Like I don't know what to do. But this is my personality, is that when it's like major, if there's a cut, if there's a break, if there's something, I actually go into like a calm mode, but I'm like very direct. But I'm not screaming, I'm not yelling. I'm just like, okay, let's figure it out. We got to do this, you know, like I'm like that. And so I actually don't know why I did foundation right now. I'm kind of annoyed that I did, because yeah, I'm kind of annoyed that I actually did foundation, because I wanted to do my eye patches real quick to kind of like hydrate the bottom of my eye. And I actually could probably still do that, to be honest. I think I might try to do that and let my eyes kind of like just have a moment. And then I'll just blend out, because I just put foundation on. That's really, and all my serums and things. So we were on the couch, and he was severely like hurt, and he was like more in shock. And he was just like, yeah, it really hurts. Like he was upset, you know? And we're like, okay, we've got to fix this. And so we went to the emergency room. We got him in his, he was actually still like in a booster seat, and we got a seatbelt on and everything, and got him like all strapped in. And so I had like his blanket, and I sat in the back with him and had him all settled. And then I ended up, like, we went into the emergency room, right? They're never in a hurry, first of all. Like, I feel like as a kid, like, the emergency rooms were actually an emergency. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were checking you in, you were going to the back, you were doing your vitals quick, like, but now I feel like they're very, like, lackadaisical, and that drives me insane, because I'm like, okay, like, what are we gonna do? Like, in a hurry, you know what I mean? But we get him checked in, and I'm like, yeah, I was like, he definitely has a break. He's a little, like, we need to get him checked out, like, now, you know? So they're like, okay, we'll go sit down. That already pisses me off. Like, go sit down, and we'll call him back, and we'll, like, do his vitals or whatever. All this stuff, and I'm like, okay. So we're, like, sitting there. He's obviously in pain. He just, like, broke a bone. And they also don't want you to give him anything. You know what I mean? Because they also want to know, like, what's going on. So they don't want you to give him any pain medicine yet. So they take him back, and we do his weight. They're like, what happened? They're kind of asking him questions. And then they're like, okay, now we're going to take you back and get an x-ray. So then we go back and we do an x-ray. And then they're like, okay, I think we have like a triage room open for you. So then we go into triage. And so that's like a little private room in the ER. And so we go in there, and they're like, we'll be back with your x-rays in a minute with like your results of like what we're going to do. And so we're like, okay, you know? And so, by the way, that was Rim Beauty, and that was like the eyeshadow BRB, like a liquid shadow. Now I'm just going to play with some e.l.f. shadow and see if I can like make a difference on like layering. I'm just trying to do as much as I can to allow this shadow to have like a good statement. And so we are like, okay, so we're waiting in triage, you know, that people keep randomly coming in, and they're like, you know, does he need anything? Stuff like that, right? And checking vitals. And so we ended up sitting in there for a good minute before the x-ray results would come back, which I know they have already, these are not staying on, read them. And I'm sitting in there, and I told Alan, I was like, they are literally, nobody's in this freaking emergency room. Like, nobody's in here. What is taking so long? Like, this is crazy. And it was like a standalone emergency room, so it wasn't connected to the hospital or anything, where they could be clearly somewhere else in the hospital doing some things. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why is it taking them so long? And so it's been like 15 minutes or so, and all he has is a sling on his arm for support. They've not given us any results, and they've not told us, like, here's some pain medicine for your pain. Meanwhile, this is a little baby, like basically a child that has like an injury, you know? And so I end up telling Alan, I was like, I'm going out there to say something. Like, I can hear the nurses and stuff at the nurses station like kikiing around. I was like, I don't know what y'all are like laughing about and cutting up about, but we're in here for an emergency, and y'all are honestly like goofing off about like what crackers you're eating for your snack tonight, blah blah blah. I was like, nobody freaking cares about your snack. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if y'all gonna kiki, you need to go somewhere with the door shut where nobody can hear you and we feel like y'all are actually doing something, because right now you're not. Like, that's how I'm like processing. And so I like open the door and I can like hear them or whatever. And then I walk out there and I'm like, who is our like nurse and where's the doctor? And then they're like, they'll be in there soon. And they're just like standing there. And I was like, y'all are in here kikiing around. I was like, and my son has not had any pain medicine. He has broken his collarbone and he is hurting. And I was like, and we're just sitting in there as y'all are out here playing around with each other. And they're like in shock, like absolute shock. Like, and y'all know my tone of voice was like up, like it was elevated. Like, I'm not fussing at y'all, like angry like your mama, but I'm telling y'all as a parent, like, I'm not, you're not gonna do this, like, not to us, no. And I'm not sitting in here just waiting hours on end. And you know, you're always there for several hours. And so somebody finally comes in and gives us pain medicine, and then the doctor comes in and they read us the results and tell us what's up. And they're like, basically you just want to alternate, like, you know, ibuprofen and Motrin and Tylenol through the night or whatever until you can go see an orthopedic. But he definitely broke his collarbone. You know, it's a good bone if you're gonna break one because it will heal, blah blah blah, all this stuff, right? And I'm like, cool. I'm like, awesome. So that's it. You know, so you always feel like, oh my gosh, there's such an emergency, let's go, let's go, let's go. But when you get there, it's always like, oh, you know, unless you came in with like a wound, like you got shot or something. And then I'll tell you, 3 years later, guess who broke their collarbone again? Maddox. So he breaks it again. And within this break, he was actually in the front yard playing soccer with his brother. And he tripped over the ball. So like as someone was kicking it, the ball went under his foot wrong. He fell, boom. Same shoulder, same collarbone, like same. But it was a brand new break. So when we went back to actually go get these x-rays, they, at this time, they were actually like, oh, okay, we see his last break to this break, and it's definitely a new break. Like, it's not in the same spot. And when we had gone to follow up from that other orthopedic to begin with, you know, after like, you know, basically they just put it in a sling and just said like rest it or whatever. That is actually very pretty to put over that. It's like a little pale pink. Really love that. That's so cute. Then they were like, you know, he's gonna heal fine. So we went back and it had like knotted, you know, it like had a bump there. And they were like, it calluses, so it like, it heals best. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. You know, our body is like wild, you know, the stuff that it can do. So then like all that's being done, right? So he goes back and he has another break. We go to an orthopedic. It's a brand new break. Meanwhile, let me tell you, when we were at this ER though, when he went for this one, yeah, and we lived in Salisbury, I think, both of those times when this happened. But this one, we were in the waiting room at a different emergency room, and somebody actually came in with a gun wound. Like, somebody pulled up, this person got out of the car, and they were like bleeding everywhere. And we're like in the ER. Now that person, they got all the treatment fast, of course, and went straight into surgery. And they actually put the whole ER on lockdown because actively there was gunshots like happening in the area or whatever. That's insane. And so that was a crazy night. So ER's like when there isn't really like, if it's a break, they're like, okay, we'll bandage it, we'll do whatever. But there's like nothing that they can do right there. Like, you don't need to go into surgery. You're not doing something like that for it. So I get it. But I'm like, do you know how frustrating that is, like, as a parent? When you're not taking, like, it seems like to us that you're not like taking it seriously, you know what I mean? And we're like, this is our child, like, all we know is like protect our kid. And when we hear y'all cutting up and talking about what you gonna be eating for snack while you're here, like, that's frustrating, you know what I mean? So anyways, we've definitely had some encounters at the emergency room with just like, we felt like, why are we even here? Because we could be sitting at home like this, you know what I'm saying? And then we get like, we're getting tests read and a scan and all that stuff so we can see, like, we get the point of it. But man, it hurts when your kids hurt, you know? and they're like, what are they gonna do? What's happening, right? So it's like, well, there's not gonna be surgery, you know, depending on what it is. And some breaks require surgery, like we get that too. But in our case, the collarbone did not require that. So there was a little ER situation. And yeah, I just got super annoyed. And Alan knows, like, he's like, yeah, I know it's not gonna settle well with you, okay? I feel that. And it just, like, he can see it in my face when I'm just like, I look at him and I'm like, He's like, Amber, you don't need to say anything right now. I'm like, ugh. And then that gets me even more annoyed. I'm like, what? I was like, not right now. We're gonna go right now, okay? You do not know who I am. Okay, that is always like my number one thing. You do not know me. You do not know what I'm capable of. Like, I'm just like, So anyways, yeah, that does not fly. So anyways, that's that story. That wasn't as like heated or whatever. It's just like annoyance, you know? So if you've ever been to the emergency room and you've had a situation like that, like, let me know too, like, how you feel about it, because everybody in the emergency room is sitting around like annoyed. Like, you know what I mean? They're like, I know I need to be here because I need to find XYZ out, but I'm annoyed that I'm even here. Like, it's just like crazy. So that's a thing. Then I don't know, I want to do some other stuff to my shadows. I'm just playing around, you guys, just playing. And so now let's talk about the next one, is the Uber ride. This was a more recent like thought that popped back in my head, because I honestly, you guys, haven't thought about this in a long time until Uber comes up in my vocabulary for some reason. Like, we don't ever take Ubers around here because I don't have to, you know, we have our own vehicle. I don't really have to. But if we are going like downtown for something and we're staying at a hotel and we're going to eat close by, like, it's easier to just like Uber to the restaurant and then like go back to the hotel. Like, we'll do stuff like that. And if we're out of town, we typically like just like have our vehicle, or I'm with my husband or whatever. So back in 2020, I went to, oh, and this is why this came up. I had an ad pop up on my phone that was like, if you've ever experienced like a Lyft or an Uber, like basically like something that was, dang, what's the word? Let's just say incident, because I'm really, I'm like, my brain is actually going, psh, I have no clue what word I'm trying to come up with. But if you've ever had something like occur in an Uber ride, you know, and I kept listening, I was like, let me listen more to this and see what's up. Now I'm going to use LA Girl, this brown liner, and see what we can do with that. And so I'm like, okay, let me keep listening. So it's basically talking about if anything's ever happened to you in one of those rides, then you need to contact a lawyer, because they're being sued big time right now and they're taking a lot of cases and people are getting compensated for it or whatever. So I'm just like listening, trying to think like, what? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, back in 2020, I had an incident in an Uber ride. And y'all, it was actually one of the scariest moments of my entire life. Like, of my entire freaking life. And so I went out of town for like a conference, and I was with friends, and we stayed kind of like in a little condo place or whatever. So the condo was like in this huge complex, really big. It was basically like apartments. It's kind of how it was, but we like Airbnb'd it or whatever. And it was a gated area. And so I was like, you know, really safe space. And it was very close to the conference center in Orlando that we were at. And so one afternoon, we were like going to something later that night. So I was like already ready to go home, and like just rest and get ready and then go back out. So I was like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to, my friend was already back at the place, but I was like, normally we would all Uber together and like all get dropped off at our places or whatever. But I was like, I don't want to wait another hour or two and my phone's about to die. So, and I don't have a charger. So I actually need to go ahead. Otherwise my phone's gonna be dead and I can't get back home to the place. So I was like, let me go ahead and get a ride. Standing outside the whole place, and it's very busy, and there's Ubers coming around like crazy, and there's a girl that's like the concierge, kind of like outside the conference center, and you can tell she works there, like she has on a certain shirt or whatever. And I go up to her and I'm like, listen, I was like, my phone's about to die and I need to catch an Uber, so you know, I was like, can I just stand here for a second, like hopefully like my phone just doesn't die, it's trying to connect me to somebody. And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, and now I need to find out if this person like has a charger in their car or whatever. And then I was just talking to her because I was like, I was feeling very like already uneasy. And I was like, you know, I never catch an Uber by myself. This is really weird. What if my phone dies or whatever? I was like, do you have a number? Like I can call you or text you, like, you know, if I need to or whatever. And I know I said something like that to her because I did get her information, so I could text her like I made it to my place. Because I was like, if I don't make it, like I kept saying that. I was like, if I don't make it and something happens, I want you to like contact my friend, like, you know what I mean, all this stuff. And she was like, and contact, like, you know who the Uber driver was. And she was like, okay. So she was like making notes or whatever. And like, normally you wouldn't do that, you know, but I just had like a eerie feeling because one, I'm in a city that I'm unfamiliar with, you know, there's a ton of different drivers coming in and out. You're getting different people, you're unsure. And I'm already very, very like skeptical of anything and freaked out of anything. And so she's like, okay, cool. Well, this Uber driver comes up and he kind of seems a little like weird, like kind of off a little bit. But I'm like, all drivers kind of seem off, you know, to me at least. And I was like, my first question to him, like he opened up the back or something like that for some reason, thinking like, do I need to put anything in the back? Like it was like a SUV. And I was like, no. He's like, okay. And I was like, do you have a charger? And he was like, yeah. I was like, okay. And his language was like, you could tell he spoke another language. It wasn't like, his first language wasn't English, you know? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And so, you know, I got in, I got the charger. I told the girl, I was like, I'm good. Like we got a plan. She was like, okay. She's probably thinking this girl is so like extreme, you know? But, and then I texted my friend back at our place and I was like, I'm in the Uber. This is the Uber's information. I texted it to my husband, and things like that. And so I got in the car and we pull off, and I think I was on the phone with somebody at that time, like maybe my husband or her. And something just started feeling weird. So when you pull out of the conference center, it like, you pull off into a certain way to get like off into the highway, you know? So I kind of was familiar with that because we had done that like several days in a row. He did not go that way. And I was like, already like, that's weird. And I didn't even hesitate, you guys. Do you know what I did? I called 911 immediately. Because I had such a weird feeling. So I had my phone plugged in and then I was calling 911, and then you know what I did? I tried to hit the button to the window, and I was like, if he is taking me somewhere, could I unlock the window and yell or jump out? My window would not unlock. So I'm like, so I call 911 and I start talking very loudly, and I'm texting my husband. I was like, I'm calling 911, I feel weird, he won't unlock my window, and then blah blah whatever. And then everybody's kind of like, you're probably over, like just freaking out, you're probably like overreacting or whatever. And I was like, and it was a feeling, like I had already like felt this feeling and I couldn't shake it, so it was already like in my system, you know. And so I said to him, like, I called 911. They're like, hey, 911, how may I help you? And I was like, hi, I was like, I'm taking an Uber ride and I feel unsafe. Will you stay on the phone with me? And they're like, has anything happened? I was like, nothing's happened. And they're like, well, where are you going? And I was like, I'm going back to my place, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, okay, well, if nothing's happened, I think you're going to be okay. And I was like, no. I was like, something's weird. I was like, he also won't unlock my window. And they're like, he won't unlock your window? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm locked. Like, it's locked. And I was like, and he's acting like he can't understand me. Because I kept saying, will you unlock my window? And he was ignoring me. Like, straight up freaking ignoring me. And I was like, not me. You ain't gonna do this to me, honey. I'm not over here scrolling on my phone, not paying attention. What the heck you doing? No, I'm paying attention. And so he Yeah, he was ignoring me. And then I was talking loud and I was like, I am on the phone with 911. Take me to my place. I was like, he is off route. He took a wrong turn. He is not on route anymore. We are going the opposite direction to where my place is. So we were going the wrong way. He wouldn't unlock my window. He was acting like he couldn't understand me. I was like, I'm about to get kidnapped. Like, I'm literally, actively, if I wasn't proactive, I have no idea what would have happened. No freaking clue. And so he literally kept acting like he didn't hear me. He's like, window, okay, window, like saying stuff. And I was like, yeah, unlock my window, unlock my window. Like, I was yelling at him. And then I was like, my door's locked. Like, I kept trying to unlock my door. He's like, door won't unlock because it was driving. I was like, unlock my door. Like, why is your door locked? Why is child lock on a door? You know, like, I'm not a freaking kid back here. And so I'm on the phone 911 and they're like, ma'am, we don't know what you want us to do. And I was like, what you need to do is stay on the phone with me to make sure I make it out of here. Like, he could be kidnapping me. Like, I was saying all types of stuff. And I was texting my friends. I was texting my husband, like, all this stuff as it's actively happening. Y'all, he finally got back on to a route to get me to my place. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. How are you picking me up from the conference center? I can see my place right there. You went a whole other direction. You're locking me in. I'm on the phone with 911. I've told everybody that I'm in the car with you. I have my locations on. Are you kidding me? No. And the crazy thing is that I know this happens to people all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, but I don't know if, like, I don't think it's right for me to say because their guard's down. Like, I don't think that's it. I just think it happens. He could have easily still done something or taken me somewhere. It doesn't matter if I'm on the phone with somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. And I finally saw my place and he was like, he had to get a code or whatever to let me in, like the gate or something like that. And I was like, no, just drop me off or whatever. So, but I ended up, I think I told him the code. I was like, enter this code. So I think he did get my code. I was still on the phone with them. And he got me up to, like, not where I was, because I was like, I don't want him to know where to drop me off at. But I was like, just drop me over here. Drop me, open your door, open your door, open your door. Like, I was just freaking out. And I was just acting like a straight nut job. But you know what? Like, your intuition never lies. Like, it's never off, right? And so I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, we're not doing this. My heart rate when I got upstairs was, like, insane. I was like, oh my gosh, Lauren, like, that was who was with me, my friend Lauren. I was like, I feel like I was almost kidnapped. Like, let me tell you what happened. She was like, you're freaking kidding me. And I was like, no. And then let me tell you this. I got back from, like, our last night there in Orlando. First of all, one of the busiest, hugest airports, right? So we get on a plane. No, I leave. I think I wake up that morning. We ordered takeout in Orlando. I woke up that morning and my throat was so dry. This was January 2020. My throat was so dry. I was coughing like crazy and I could not breathe very well at all. And I woke up and I was telling my husband that, and he was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. Like, I wonder what's going on. I was like, I don't know. I think just, like, probably the food that we ate last night or whatever, because we got, like, takeout and they brought it up, but we had, like, I don't remember what we had, like some type of Chinese food or something like that, or like Asian. And I was like, it's crazy. I was like, it must be something with that food. And so then we got on the airplane and got home. By the time the plane landed, y'all, I could not catch my breath. My chest was like, I was like, I just could not breathe. My throat was closing in. So I went home, I went to bed. I think I took medicines and things like that. That's before I had a lot of natural medicines. And so then we ended up, like, my friend was telling me all this stuff to get. So my husband went and got me some natural medicines that morning. He took the kids to school. And then that morning that it was my day back, I took myself to the urgent care because I could not breathe. I texted him and I was like, I just woke up. I physically cannot breathe. And I was like, I feel like I'm actually about to die. But I got myself in the car and I drove myself to urgent care because I was by myself. Because we didn't know like I was really that sick. I just thought like I have a cold or whatever. And so then I got myself to urgent care and then they were like, oh my gosh, like you can't breathe. They put me on a breathing treatment. And I'm a type 1 diabetic. So with my diabetes, if you put me on a steroid, like that jacks up my blood sugar. But they were like, no, you have to have a steroid. So like they put me on a steroid. Oh my gosh, y'all. Like I actively thought that was it, you know? It was absolutely insane. And then I felt a little bit, I stayed in that office until I got myself kind of together and I was able to like walk out of there and get myself home. And they were like, you have flu B, I think is what they called it, like flu B or something like that. And I was like, I don't even know like how or what this is, but okay. So they gave me like antibiotics and stuff, and they gave me an asthma breather. Oh my gosh, I really had the hiccups. And then I got all my natural medicines that my husband went and got for me, and I literally got myself better by, I didn't take all the stuff the doctor gave me, but I was taking, now that I say it, I'm like, what was I taking? Olive leaf throat spray, nose spray, and there was a pill that I was taking too, and I actually still have them, but it was like, it's a natural medicine. And y'all, that got me better. That got me all together. And it was 4 days later, I actually missed a huge event that we were hosting at home. When I had a studio that time, I was always having events, and they put it on without me. And yeah, it was absolutely crazy. I was like, oh, what is happening to me? I'm trying to think what I want to do. I want to lighten my nose, I think. And then, so yeah, that went into my Uber ride to like getting home and then getting sick or whatever. And I think it was the C, you know, when all that was going around. I think that's what I had, but nobody really knew what anybody had at that time, you know. But it was absolutely insane. Because I was like, I'm dying, I'm dead, bleh, kill me now, you know what I mean? It was terrible. So anyways, that right there, any woman ever taking an Uber by yourself somewhere, make sure you're like notifying people, like you're not just taking it and no one knows. And make sure you're not afraid to like pick up the phone and call 911. Like, I'm always so aware of like, I will call, even, I'd rather be proactive than like regretting, like, oh my gosh, I should have, you know what I mean? Because nothing hurts to like make that extra phone call. Like, someone might think you're crazy, but who freaking cares? Like, think I'm crazy. I don't care what you think of me, you know what I mean? And that guy, I'm like, you just made me uncomfortable. Like, for one, you were acting like you could not understand me when I was saying unlock my window. Like, he straight up was ignoring me. He was actively talking to someone else on the phone, so that made me very leery, in a different language, because then I don't know what you're saying. And then, you know, I'm like yelling and I'm like making a scene in the back seat, like, let me out, are you okay? And I'm like, that's why I'm just like, like, we're gonna be on top of it. So anyways, that ad came up, so I have like a lawyer or whatever that's contacted me that I'm gonna move forward with, like, just sharing information to see if, you know, I can just bring more awareness, or if something can happen maybe or whatever. But I know a lot of women have been hurt through rides like that. So apparently, like, Uber has not been taking, they've not been like really giving their people thorough background checks. I'm like, are you okay? Like, you can't do that. Like, these people are actually putting people in their cars, and we're like trusting that they're okay. But then on the other hand, you know, what's wild is that you're an Uber driver. So also on the other side, you're an Uber driver, and you don't know who's getting in your car, you know? So like roles can be reversed, but I also just want people to be very aware, like before they do stuff. And if you feel uncomfortable, then say stop the car, let me out, make a phone call, do whatever you have to do to get out of the situation. And don't get in an Uber or take an Uber if your phone's dead, because then you're screwed. Do you know what I mean? Like, you have no way of like communicating with anyone in that way, and that's super, super scary. So I don't like that at all. All right, let's take a little bit here on the inner part. Okay, the next story is a more recent story that we were at Great Wolf Lodge for the boys' birthday, and the boys can typically vote on what they want to do to celebrate their birthday, and so we always have a party at the house, and the kids have their birthdays very close to one another. And so when they do that, we're like, yeah, like have your cousins over, have your little besties over, things like that. But this go around, we were literally like, you're only gonna have like 4 people, you know what I mean? Like that's all we can have, you know. So we ended up going, and we did day passes for the older cousins to come and like hang out with them. And so it's a really cool resort. So everybody has like wristbands, and you're in this place or whatever. And so most of the time the parents are like actively chilling, you know, like your kids are, when they're older, they're at the age where they're kind of like running around and just having a blast, you know. Some parents are like sitting around reading a book or socializing with others, or maybe they're riding rides with their kids or whatever, you know. And so I stayed at the table the whole time because I'm not getting on all the rides, and they're going up and down slides, up and down slides. So Alan was kind of up and down, everybody was kind of up and down, and then at the table. Well, it was one day that we were there, and it was just me and my brother's girlfriend and my brother-in-law, so Alan's brother, that brother-in-law. We were at the table, and Maddox came up for a second, and everybody had gone on the water slides, but he wanted to take a break, so he was kind of like in the wave pool. So there's a huge wave pool, and then around it surrounds like chairs. And so they're lounge chairs, so it's like 2 lounge chairs and a table, 2 lounge chairs and a table, 2, you know, all the way around. So it's like this big like U, and then like the wave pool. And so Maddox the whole time, and all the kids, and not just my kids, but everybody's kids, but behind that are like tables and then chairs, all in this huge area. And so we have a table and chairs because while we're sitting and eating or whatever we're doing, and so then Maddox, he comes up to the table and like asks a question, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, we're talking. And then he goes back to the wave pool. So what he does is there's a table that's like probably like this high off the ground, you know, just enough where when you're in a lounge chair you can put your drinks or whatever there and your food. And then there's 2 chairs. So here's a chair, and here's a chair, okay? And then here's the table right here. So you have 2 chairs and a table. Someone's sitting right here, okay? Actively sitting and then putting their stuff right here. No one's in this chair. No one's at that table. No one's at this chair. So Maddox comes from the wave pool, and he steps over this table, and he's talking to us. And then he goes back, and he like steps through and goes back to this wave pool. This woman, when Maddox gets right here, she says something to him, and he looks back, and then he's like, and then he just keeps walking or whatever. You know, and you cannot hear in this place. It is insanely noisy because it's an inside water park. So it's very noisy. So I'm watching what happens, and as the kids are kind of in and out, we're all like observing and watching. And so she looks at me, and I look at her, and she mouthed to me, she was like, did she just say something to him? And I'm like, she did, you know. And I was like, I wonder what she said. And so anyways, I was like, I'm gonna go find out what she said. She said something to my kid, I'm gonna go find out what she said. I go over there to her. Meanwhile, I am in a bathing suit with a cover up on. I'm not getting in the water, but just to kind of let you know what I'm wearing. And I think to myself, all right, my goal is to go over here and just see what she said. That's it. And just diffuse like anything, you know? And she could have easily, like, I don't know if she was being unkind. I don't know if she was being kind. I don't know if she was just, I don't know what she was doing. And so I walked over to her and I kind of was at that table and I just kind of leaned over and I was like, did you just say something to him? And she was like, I did. I told him not to step over that chair, not to step over that table because that's my husband's table and chair. And I said, you said what to him? I said, you told him not to step over this table? Girl, I picked up that table like this. I picked it up and I put it behind her chair. And then I came back over and I leaned over holding my knee and I said, don't you ever speak to him again. Do not, he can walk wherever he wants to walk. She ain't like that. You know how I talk about matching people's energy? She was matching mine. So I was like, and I was matching hers. You're not going to speak to him. And she said, I will. I'll say it again. I told him not to step there because that's my husband's chair, my husband's table or whatever. And I was like, I said, you're not going to speak to my son. He can go wherever he wants to go in this place. And she said, no, he can't. He needs to go around this way or he needs to go around that way to get to the pool or whatever. And I said, let me tell you again, you are not going to speak to my son one more time. Don't you say a word to him nor any other child in this place. Do you hear me? And she was like, oh, and my hands were down. My hands were on my knees because I was like bent down. Her finger was doing this in my face, this close. You feel like I'm about to hit you? Like right there, pop, 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 pop. That's what she was doing. And then when she got tired of doing her finger, she did this to my face. You see how close that is? Do you think that went over well with me? Do you think that no, it did not. So I thought to myself, I know you're not. You're really funny. You're really funny. And it got heated. It got really heated. And I'm yelling because I can feel the veins in my neck, like protruding out because I'm also kind of like squatted, bent down, and I can feel them kind of coming out. And then she just proceeds to tell me she's gonna say whatever I want to whomever I want to, and she'll say something to my kid again too if she has to, and for me to get out of her face. I was like, I'm not, because you're not gonna say anything else to my kid. And so she proceeds to kind of bend herself back and, you know, prop herself up so she can read her book. She had a book in her lap or whatever. And I said to her, I said, what's your name? She said, that's none of your business or whatever. And I said, because you know what I mean? My brain's already processing quick because I wanted to think, are you Mrs. Great Wolf Lodge? Nice to meet you. Wow. I didn't know that. You know what I mean? That's how I wanted to be. I wanted to be super extra. But she wasn't playing my games. She was like, it's none of your business. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, and so, yeah. And so it just got really heated because I'm going to tell you something. No one at all is going to talk to my child. You're not going to talk to him. You are not his mother. You're not his father. You're not his grandma. You're not his auntie. You're nobody, okay? Do not speak to him. You're not the supervisor at this place. Did he push somebody? Did he hurt you? Did he step over your food? He did not. There was nothing to be had, like absolutely nothing. You know what I mean? So I was like, girl, you doing the most. And she wouldn't let it go because I kept saying, like, you're not going to talk to him. Like, he can walk wherever he wants to. Like, just, you're not going to do that. And it didn't last as long as it, like, I processed it in my brain to last. Like, I'm like, this conversation happened for like 20 minutes. It didn't. It was like less than 5 minutes. Probably less than a minute solid. And then I was like, I told myself, and I was like, I don't want to be arrested today. I was like, because I felt that her hand was going to hit me. I was like, if her hand hits me, I am jumping over this freaking chair. That's all I could think about. And I was like, I'm actually going to jump over this chair. And somebody's going to really be hurt today. And I'm going to tell you who it ain't going to be. It ain't going to be me. Because I'm going to fight. Okay? I'm going to fight. And it was just wild. So I thought to myself, Amber, go get the person that runs this place. Like, that's always my goal, is like, find out who runs the place. Find them. You know what I mean? Because that's what I would want somebody to do to me. Like, come find me. Let me handle it. You know what I mean? And so I went to the area, and I was like, that kind of like is over the pool. And I was like, hey, I was like, who operates this whole place? That's who I want to talk to. Not just like a little manager or whatever. No, tell me who runs this whole spot or whatever. And so that woman came up to me, and I told her, and I was like, listen, let me just tell you what happened. And I gave her the lowdown of like my son and what he did or whatever. And I was like, he just stepped over this table, blah, blah, blah. I was like, this woman said something to him. I don't like that. You're not going to talk to my son. Tell him where he can walk or whatever. And she was kind of like, he stepped over like a little table. Like, that's not a big deal. I was like, yeah, nobody's even sitting there. Like, you know what I mean? Like no harm. Just he just stepped over a table. No big deal. Like, she just had an issue with him cutting through, which is super obnoxious, you know? And so anyways, I just thought, I really can't believe like this is actually happening. And so I told her, and I was like, but you know what? I don't want to be arrested today. So I'm going to tell you something. If you please go tell her, do not talk to my son. Do not talk to me. Do not even look in my direction. Because I promise you, I will be arrested. Okay? I will. I will be arrested. And I don't want to do that on my son's birthday weekend. That's horrible. Now I'm looking for my mascara. I'm like, that would be horrific. Like, we don't need that to happen. You know what I mean? And she's like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to her, whatever. Like, you're good. Don't worry about it. Show me where she's sitting. Meanwhile, she had already gotten up, and supposedly she had already passed me walking, and I didn't notice. And my nephew was like, she cleaned up all of her drinks on the other table beside her. And her husband was already there in the other chair. But she had like cleaned up all of her alcohol drinks or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So she was a little buzzed. She was drinking, having her little good time. Wanted to put her little drinks away before somebody came over and said something to her. And so, you know, rightfully so. Because obviously she was on something. I'm like, you're in a kid's park. You're not in a resort where you're in a spa facility and you got kids running around, you know, invading your like space of relaxation. That, you know what I mean? Like, you're in a freaking kids park. Chill the freak out, you know? He didn't hurt you. He stepped over a table that wasn't even next to you. So anyways, I was like, this is insane. So yeah, that woman came and spoke to her, and they spoke for like 10 freaking minutes. But then all my family, Alan came back over, and he was like, this always happens when I'm not around, you know, typically. And Alan's like, what the heck happened? But he knows my personality. I was like, anything, like, you say my kids, I'm on go. Like, before you can even finish the word, I'm there. I already made it. So I don't know what's happening right now. I'm very dewy, and I'm so happy about that. Like, I absolutely love the dewiness. Makes me very happy. I want to put a little bit of the rosy effect like on my nose and do a little faux freckleness happening as well. And so I can't believe some people just have the audacity, you know, and it's just really frustrating as a parent, because the only thing you want as a parent is to protect your kids. And honestly, if someone stands in the way of that, do you know what I mean? Where like, you're like, oh my God, like, now you're coming at me. Like, let us mind our business. You know what I mean? And so she just overstepped, and it's not okay. But I will tell you, I have spoke to someone else's children, because at the water park, some boys pushed my godson. So I don't know if y'all know, but my godson Jackson, when he's here, I'll have to show you next time, but he's the sweetest ever. So anyways, our family, we're always trying to do as much as we can together, but the boys were all in line for like the water slides or whatever, and they were playing like some type of like slap game. and Jackson was playing too, and one of the boys that doesn't know our kids pushed him. And so Cruz was like, meet me at the bottom of the slide. And my boys have been actively practicing jiu-jitsu for like 2.5 years. And so we do this because it's like, Cruz wants to actually be a fighter, like UFC professional fighter when he gets older. And so anyways, but he told the boys to meet him at the bottom of the slide. And so we're like, yep, okay, it's about to happen, you know, boys are going to do that, you know, and he's going to protect, and so will Maddox. But Maddox pushed, so the boy pushed Jackson, Maddox pushed the boy to protect Jackson, and to be like, and he told him not to do that. And then Cruz said, meet me at the bottom of the slide. So Cruz came over to our table and told us what happened. We were like, whoa, how did this happen, you know? And so then the boys came off the slide. Cruz was like, those are the kids. And then Alan just said to them, keep your hands to yourself. Like, just keep your hands to yourself. You know, and actively, like, that's what you're going to do as a parent. Like, if my kid was pushing up on somebody else and messing, I would hope that somebody would be like, keep your hands to yourself. Don't be doing that. You know what I mean? Like, set them straight, you know? Obviously, you're not going to touch them. You're not going to do anything like that. But then that night, and then nothing happened, you know? But Alan's like, I can't do anything. I'm an adult, but you're a kid. So if you need to fight back, you know? Some people just need to be hit sometimes. I'm like, these people be acting up too much on these streets. And so, but then we were like in the arcade, and these boys are just running around by themselves. I don't know where their freaking parents are, but they're like running around by themselves. And we get to a place where I'm like, I looked at them, I looked over, and I was like, oh, and like, you know how you go, what? I was like, oh, those are the kids that pushed y'all earlier. And so I looked at them and I was like, y'all pushed my kids earlier. And they're like, no, we didn't. And then one of the kids in the group was like, yeah, I think it was me. And I was like, yeah, it was you. Like, duh. And then the other friend was like, I didn't do it. And so then they ended up like, he said, sorry, I didn't mean anything but blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, yeah, I was like, you don't know their mama. I said, don't be pushing my kids. Don't be pushing my babies like that. And so they just like stepped away. But I'm going to say something when someone is wrong. You know what I mean? And rightfully so. Anyways, I don't, anything that has to do with my children, I am at a 10 before it happens. And Alan's like, no, you're not at a 10. You're at like 100. I was like, I am. And it is like, I just know, like, y'all get it. The mama fever comes over, and I already have like a mouth on me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to say something. Like, that's not going to be a surprise to anyone. You know what I mean? So anyways, I think that's all the story time that I have for today. I actually have no idea what my hair is going to look like. I just know when I do this, it actually holds a lot better, you know, especially for the video purpose of just like having some cute curls throughout the hair. A lot of body. And then I pulled out my little straightener. I haven't used this in so long, but I thought it would be good to go around my face with it and just grab these little hairs that want to be unruly. And then I love putting the shine spray. Makes my hair so shiny. My hair is just not, it's just not really doing it, but it's whatever. So